Imagine hearing those words. It's January 1882, and 66-year-old Marianne Vaux is gathering her grandchildren around her. She wants them, really needs them, to know where they came from. And today, we get to pull up a chair, sit right there with them, and just listen.
So let's get into it. We're about to walk through the life of Marianne Vaux. And look, her life wasn't just long, it stretched across one of the most wild, transformative periods in all of American history. Her story, it's not just about one woman, it's about seeing the birth of the nation we live in today, but through the eyes of someone who was actually there for it.
To really get Marianne, you have to picture the world she was born into. We're talking 1815. The United States is this fragile new idea, still trying to figure out what it is. And the frontier, that wasn't some myth from a movie, it was a real thing, probably just a few miles down the road.
Now just let that sink in for a second. Her dad was a grown man when George Washington was president. This isn't ancient history for Marianne, it's family stories told at the dinner table. Her life is this incredible human bridge connecting the Revolutionary War generation all the way to the Gilded Age.
And believe me, Marianne's life was anything but stationary. It was this constant push westward, almost perfectly mirroring the country's own obsession with expansion. From the deep woods of New York to the rolling hills of Wisconsin and out onto the Kansas prairie, she was right in the middle of that great American migration.
Right, so her story isn't just about maps and places, it's about people. And at the very heart of her life was her family, a family that started with the man who would walk with her every step of the way.
So you've got these two people from completely different worlds, right? Samuel, he's an immigrant carrying all the hopes and dreams from the old world. And then there's Marianne, a true daughter of the New World frontier. Their marriage, it's like a perfect snapshot of 19th century America, this melting pot of hope and grit coming together to build one single future.
And this was the future they were building. 6 children born between 1839 and 1854. These weren't just names on a family tree. They were the entire reason for every single move, for every sacrifice, for every ounce of sweat poured into the farm. These kids, they were the whole point.
We hear the phrase frontier hardship all the time, but this makes it real, tangible. It was a relentless, back-breaking cycle. Monday wasn't just laundry day, it was an all-day war against dirt, with boiling water and knuckles rubbed raw on a washboard. This wasn't just a list of chores, it was the actual rhythm of their survival.
But, and this is so important, it wasn't just about surviving. In between all of that endless work, there were these moments of pure, simple joy. This one quote, it just paints such a vivid picture, doesn't it? The warm fire, Samuel's voice reading a story, the kids playing with handmade toys. It's a beautiful reminder that their home wasn't just built with logs and mud, but with love and just being together.
But that cozy home in New York, it wasn't going to be their last. The call of the West was like a siren song, this powerful promise that pulled families just like the Vauxes toward a new horizon. And they did it all for the sake of their kids.
Okay, look at this number. $1,500. That's what they got when they sold their 53-acre farm in New York back in 1853. That was everything, their entire life savings, every bit of security they had, all bet on a dream of a place they'd never even laid eyes on, Wisconsin.
Can you even imagine the weight of that choice? It's so easy for us to just see it as a line on a map. But for Marianne, this meant saying goodbye, probably forever. Goodbye to friends she'd known her whole life, to the church her kids were baptized in, to the actual ground where her own family was buried. That was the real price of chasing the American dream back then.
So after years in Wisconsin, the journey still wasn't over. In 1869, they packed up and moved again, this time to Andrew County, Missouri. And Marianne says this new home brought them so much happiness. She talks about grandchildren running all through the house. But this was also the place that would bring them to their knees.
22. That's how old their youngest son Amos was when tragedy hit in the summer of '76. Just as his mom said, coming into his own as a man.
You can just feel the ache in those words. Amos died of typhoid fever. And for Marianne, that loss was a wound that you just know never ever healed. That one simple, devastating line. A mother isn't supposed to outlive her children. It's a grief that is just absolutely timeless. After Amos's death, the family pulled up stakes one last time and headed for Kansas. And it was there, in her final years,
that Marianne looked back on this unbelievable life she'd led and the world-altering changes she had seen with her own eyes.
I mean, the change she lived through is just staggering. Can you imagine being born in a world lit by candles and powered by animals, and living to see a world connected by railroads and instantaneous messages zipping across telegraph wires? She didn't just read about this stuff in a book, she lived it. She literally watched the fabric of time and distance get completely rewoven in a single human lifetime.
So after all of that, all the moving, all the hardship, all the change, what was the big takeaway? She came to this really profound conclusion. Home was never a plot of land in New York or a farmhouse in Missouri. Home was simply wherever her family was. Love, she realized, was the one thing that was portable. It was the one constant in her life of constant change. And this was her legacy. This was the charge she gave to her grandchildren. This is what she needed them to know. Their inheritance wasn't going to be land or money. It was a spirit of courage, a spirit of resilience, and a relentless belief in tomorrow. That is a pretty powerful definition of a family legacy.
And then, just like that, her story was complete. She passed away only 10 months after telling it, which makes this memoir feel all the more urgent and precious. It was her final, beautiful gift to all the generations that would come after her, a gift that's made its way all the way to us.
You know, a story like Marianne's, it kind of forces you to look at your own. She saw herself as just one link in a long chain, stretching from the past way into the future. And it leaves us with a really powerful question to ask ourselves. What stories will be told about us? And what legacy are we building for the people who will one day want to hear about the life we've lived?